Hello folks, welcome to a new video series I'm trying here on the channel. I'm calling this Coffee with Bikers, and today I'm joined by Sean here, and this is Sean's Ninja 250, which we'll get to very shortly. I get to ride a lot of new bikes, and that's great, but there's a couple of problems with riding new bikes. The first one, not everyone out there is in the market for a new bike, and the second one, there's only so much I can tell you in a half-hour ride on a bike. So the whole idea of this segment is talk to somebody who knows their bike the best, get some ideas for what it's like, so that if you're looking at one of these machines, this will hopefully give you some really good information that you can use when you're out shopping for your bike. So Sean, welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks mate, thanks for having me.
No worries. So we're going to talk about your Ninja 250 today. How long have you had the bike?
I've had it for a bit over a year now. So I got it the day I finished my learner license, and had it
So it's
since.
your first bike?
My first bike.
Yep.
I've had it for, so that makes it a bit over a year, about 3,500 Ks I think.
Yep.
So I've done a fair bit of riding.
Yep.
But yeah, it's definitely a first bike.
Definitely a first bike.
Definitely my first bike.
Alright, well we'll try and unpick what that means in a bit more detail as we go along. Why do you love it? Like, why did you pick this bike as your first bike? Like, in your mind, what are the best things about the bike?
I think the best thing about the bike is it's not too much of any one thing. Super approachable. Doesn't really cost much, like to buy, to maintain, to own, to register, to insure, anything. It's just kind of, it's not going to jump out and bite you. It's not going to cost you much money. It's just going to be a nice, interesting, easy, fun way to get into the world of riding.
So easy to get along with,
Yeah.
cheap, just reliable, turnkey. Every time you go to use it, it's going to be easy.
Yeah, I think it's actually really interesting what a lot of the manufacturers, they must know this, they sell a lot of them, but as a learner, you look at it and you're like, wow, it's got fairings, it's bright red, must be super fast, and you're like, yeah, that's the one I want.
Looks cool.
Yeah, it looks cool, great.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have a super sport seating position. It's got basically a sports touring seating position. Definitely doesn't have a super sport engine, right? It's like, it looks like it should be fast, and it's absolutely not. So you get on it as a learner, you're like, yeah, that's definitely the one I want, and it feels super quick, it feels noisy, and then as you spend your first year or so of becoming a bit more experienced rider, you're like, oh, actually this is kind of comfy, it's kind of soft, designed not to jump out and bite me, so I really get why they designed this as a learner bike, and I think that's what they've nailed with this, is when you first get it, you're gonna be super excited about it, you're not gonna be like thinking about getting rid of it, but then as you become a more experienced rider, you grow out of it a bit. I think that's a really good market segment.
I actually noticed that with the Ninja 400 I rode recently. It looks like they've stuck with that recipe, because same thing. You look at it, it looks really fast, it looks really racy, and then you ride it, and it's really like safe.
Yeah.
It's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's easy to ride. So it kind of ticks all those boxes when you're a learner.
Yeah.
It's not going to frighten you or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So in terms of where you ride it, I think you said before you do a bit of commuting on it.
Yep, a little bit.
What else do you take it out on the weekends? Or
So I don't commute to work on it. It's kind of commute to like the gym, or to go see someone, or if it can be bothered getting in the car, or if it's going to be fun to just sort of go for 15 minutes or whatever. So it's not like commuter Ks in traffic or anything like that. I mainly bought it for the weekend.
For the weekend.
So it's
And what's it good at in that situation? Is
it's good at being a learner bike, I think. Like, because I think if I was brand new and went out with a bunch of people on the weekend, and I'd bought a 600, double R, or I'd bought 1,000 or something, if we were allowed to. If I'd have done that, I'd have put it through a tree, probably. Going out on the weekend, it's nice because when you're brand new, it feels fast and feels loud, and it is like it's nice and easy. It's pretty light. It's pretty easy seating position. It's pretty high bars. I'm tall enough I can get both feet down, so I've never dropped it. You're never gonna like really do anything too worrying. It's good to just get out there and have a ride through the twisties.
Yeah. So it sounds like for a new rider, pretty easy bike to get along with.
Absolutely.
Good fun. What about like cost of ownership? Any nasty surprises? Anything that's gone wrong that you weren't expecting? Or?
No, it's been quite cheap. Probably less money than I thought. I didn't really look into how much insuring a motorbike was, but that's been pretty reasonable because it's a learner bike, basically. It hasn't worn out tyres. The insurance has been fine. I've already said that though. The only things that have happened, had a puncture on the tyre. That can happen on any bike. And otherwise, it's just been like replace the brake pads, do an oil change, like preventative maintenance that you would expect.
Stuff that happens on every bike, right?
Yeah,
Just wear and
absolutely.
tear. And it's good on fuel?
Absolutely. It's $10 Aussie to fill it up, and I do that mainly once a month. Like
once a month.
Really, really low fuel economy. Yeah.
So even this one's the carby, yeah?
Yes, carbureted.
So this is carby, but even then, good on fuel.
Yeah. So it's got a choke, and I basically will turn it on and leave that open for a bit, and like warm it up for a couple of minutes, because it is a bit kind of lumpy and not very good on fuel when it first is cold.
Yeah.
So I basically warm it up for a minute or two before I ride, because I'm generally not commuting or in a particular hurry. So, and then it runs properly and it's fine on fuel.
Yep. So there you go. If you're thinking about it, that's a big distinction. They moved to the fuel injection with the Ninja 300. If you get a 250R, this is a carbureted bike, so something to be mindful of. It sounds like not too much of an issue.
I mean, in this climate, no. If it was super cold or super hot, maybe, but here it's fine.
Yeah, so we're lucky. It's pretty mild, so it's not really an issue for Australians. If you had your time again, do you think you'd buy another one? Are you happy with it?
Definitely happy with it. I thought about whether or not I'd buy the same bike again. I would definitely get either this or maybe slightly bigger. So when I first bought this, I was so keen to buy a bike, and I went into a motorbike store that was recommended by a friend, and I was going to buy a bike on the day, and I was looking at either a brand new CB125 or this, which was second-hand. I basically bought this because it was the second-hand learner bike they had in the shop, and I bought it on the day.
Okay.
So I was looking at either, maybe I'll buy something brand new, but it would have been a 125 for the same money, or a second-hand 250.
Yep.
I'm really happy I went for a second-hand 250.
Yeah, I think you made the better decision.
Yeah. I weigh like 105 kilos, 230 pounds, and I think a 125 probably would have been a bit slow with the power to weight ratio.
Yeah. Because I know when we've been out together, even with the 250, there'll be times where you get a bit frustrated because you're using everything it's got.
Yeah, so when we're in Sydney, we'll go for a ride on the weekend. You kind of have to ride somewhere to start your ride almost.
Yeah.
You'll ride on the highway for an hour or something to get to a twisty road. And that highway commute on the freeway, not doing 110, this is barely doing it. There are only 5 gears in this year model, so 5th gear at 10,000 RPM, just wide open throttle, just to stay up with traffic on the freeway.
So if you've got a 20 kilometre, 20 mile, whatever commute, are people going to get a bit sick of this bike? Is it going to struggle with like a lot of highway commuting, or?
I think highway commuting, yeah. If I was using this to commute on the highway, I'd get like a CBR 500.
Yep. Which I had as my first bike, and I can vouch for that. That's fine up to 70 or 80 miles an hour, 130 kilometers per hour. So no issue commuting on that. So maybe if you're doing more commuting, a 500 might be a better
even a
option.
Suzuki 650, something like that.
Yep.
Because it's just, this is right up in the top of the rev range. So if you are doing any of those highway miles, it's uncomfortable, it's noisy, and it's using a lot more fuel. Normally you're just kind of using it where it's meant to be. It's not a highway bike. Yeah.
There you go. So it sounds like it's going to appeal to a first rider. It's going to appeal to somebody who does a lot of city commuting. Anyone else you think this bike would appeal to?
I still think it appeals to someone that's going through the twisties. Like it's still...
So cheap fun.
Yeah, cheap fun. For the level of skill that I have and how quick I kind of push a bike when you're going through the twisties, this is enough for the first year of your ownership. Year and a half. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think a lot of people they want to upgrade because they can, but maybe they don't need to, because if you're actually willing to stick with a bike, you can get plenty out of it as you keep growing.
Yeah, I thought about sort of going to a CBR 500 or a Suzuki 650 or something like that, because in about 6 months I can get a big boy bike, go to a full license. But that kind of half step, you don't need to. I think you just get better at using what the bike's got. I think I'm at the point now where I kind of know what the bike's got. It's got one brake rotor, is what it's got.
Yeah, yeah. The brakes not the strong point.
If I had to pick out a weak point, it's the brakes.
So this is the non-ABS version, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah. So it's no ABS, which I think is a good and a bad thing. I think learners should probably know what ABS is, what it does and what it doesn't do, and get used to it. It also isn't that likely that you're going to lock the brakes up on it because it's got a really spongy lever. Like, it moves quite a way before anything happens.
Okay.
And then it's really kind of squeezed through the range. But yeah, it's the weak point. It's a single rotor, and I'm a heavy guy, and once this bike's doing 110, it'll take a while to get there, but it's still me on a bike doing 110. You've got to slow it down.
A lot of inertia.
It's a lot of momentum. So yeah, I would look at either an ABS version so you can get on it a bit more aggressively, or if you're really going to be riding quicker, probably your bike's going to be bigger and it'll have two rotors on it.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so you've done about 4,000 Ks on it. You're pretty comfortable.
Yep.
Ridden it in a whole bunch of different scenarios.
Yep.
Say I'm thinking about getting a Ninja 250R now.
Yep.
What should I be looking out for? What do you think is important for someone who's considering the Ninja 250R?
I think it'd be good to look at like general condition. I know that sounds a bit silly, but a lot of these will be like really modified with like fairly cheap bits. Because people do get them as their first bike and want to
and they're keen to make it
their own.
Yeah,
and they'll have these like really loud but probably don't do anything exhausts. There'll be paint chips. They are their first bike, so maybe people have dropped them. So look if they've got non-standard panels or they're
telltale signs,
bar ends,
mirrors.
I went ahead and bought myself some insurance. I put frame sliders on it for that very reason. Haven't used them yet, but just looking at it generally, have the panels been taken off and replaced? You'll see a lot of these people take them off and spray them. So just general like wear and tear. It doesn't look like someone's bought it and thrashed it as their first bike.
So maybe like the plainest one you can find actually isn't such a bad thing.
Yeah, like this has nothing done to it. And when I bought it, I got them to put the frame sliders on as kind of included in the price because they wouldn't come down on the price. And that's it. That's the only change to it.
Yep. Sounds like a pretty sensible strategy to me.
Yeah. Other thing I would look at is I don't think high Ks is actually that bad. Like they're kind of designed to just go and go and go.
Yep.
And they're not a very high strung engine. It's like a low power carbureted twin.
Yeah, so, it's going to run forever if you treat it right.
Yeah, so I think a slightly higher Ks but good condition is probably fine.
Yeah. And how many Ks has this one got on it?
So just under 22,000. I bought it. Right. And bought it with 18,000.
Zero issues for you. So
yeah, I think I've seen ones with 30,000, 40,000 Ks, and they look in good condition. And I've seen ones with 10,000 Ks that look like they've been dropped and had a terrible time.
That's where it's important to get the right one.
Yeah, I think people just look at kilometres and get worried. I think have a look at it. Makes more sense.
Yeah. Make sure that you pick the one that's had a bit of love and attention. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely learned something about the Ninja 250R. So thank you, Sean, for taking the time out to take us over your bike.
Thanks.
And if you guys have any other questions about the bike, be sure to drop them in the comments section. I'll do my best to answer them, or ask Sean if I can't answer it myself. And if you haven't seen one of my videos before, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Cheers.